Mazda's first EV is coming to the United States this fall. Today we're going to go over the pricing and packaging of this cheap EV. Over at the Mazda newsroom, 2022 Mazda MX-30 EV pricing and packaging. They only give us one image, which we've already seen before. It's unfortunate they haven't given us more running footage of this vehicle. And yeah, this is kind of the first new vehicle from Mazda here in the United States since the CX-30. So it's good to see new products coming from Mazda. And this comes right off the heels of, remember we talked about this earlier this week. This has been patented, which is the rotary engine outline, or yeah, the rotor outline, and with an E in the middle. So this platform with this vehicle is supposed to be able to support a range extender, a plug-in hybrid, and a serial hybrid with this vehicle, the MX-30. But it's first coming to the United States without the rotary engine, and it's going to be a full EV. So we're going to talk about this very inexpensive EV coming to the United States, and it's only coming to California this fall. It's supposed to roll out in other parts of the United States shortly after, but California gets it first. Now, it is very inexpensive, about $33,000 before $1,100 destination. So we're talking about $34,000, $35,000 starting price, which is pretty affordable for an EV, but there's a reason why it's a little bit cheaper than, let's say, a Tesla or a Ford Mustang Mach-E, something like that. It has blind spot monitor, front cross traffic alert. I remember just a few years ago that was only reserved for the most expensive luxury vehicles, so it's good to see it getting some good safety features. And an all-new MX-30 Elite Access loaner program and $500 charge point credit included with ownership. So what this does, this Elite Access loaner program, what it does is allow you 10 days out of the year for 3 years. So a total of 30 days in 3 years, but the maximum of 10 days per year. It allows you to swap it out for a different Mazda vehicle for those 10 days. So this thing does have its limitations, and let's say you want to take a longer trip, well, you can sub it out for a CX-5 or a CX-9, but your local dealer or the dealer you want to work with has to agree with it, and more than likely what they would do is just put a dealer plate on one of their demo cars if they have demo cars. Got to keep in mind, like with the restrictive supply coming in, we haven't heard of how bad the supply chain is affecting Mazda. I've driven by quite a few Mazdas, one in New York, the last one I saw, and the lot was full of new cars. So I don't think they're being hit yet too bad by supply chain choking. So if you want a different vehicle for 10 days out of the year, it's no charge to you for the first 3 years to sub out your MX-30 for something that's a little bit more versatile. Now the cat's out of the bag. It's the same 35.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery that we've seen it, let's say in Sweden and other parts of the world. And this only gets 100 miles of range on a full charge. That's it. And it's not even quick. This vehicle is very slow for an electric vehicle. We don't know 0 to 60, but my guess would be around 7 seconds, which isn't slow, but that's kind of slow for a full EV. Now, this is talking about the design of the vehicle, which it has suicide doors. They're calling it freestyle doors, unique painting. I'm not going to go too much into the design of the vehicle because we've already seen it for well over a year in other parts of the world. The base screen is pretty small, it's 7 inches, and you have tactile push buttons that operate the climate control. So glad that there's push buttons instead of like touch sensitive buttons. That drives me nuts nowadays. Two-toned interior with pure white with gray fabric or available vintage brown with black fabric. Fabric of both options use 20% recycled threads. Now back to the guts of this vehicle, 35.5 kilowatt hour battery, front wheel drive, a peak of 143 horsepower, which is 107 kilowatts, and a maximum torque of 200 pound-feet, which I think is just a hair of what it should have been. When I did my conversions on the European model, it was like 2 horsepower down. It was like 105 kilowatts and 140 or 141 horsepower. So they've given it maybe just a little bit more juice here. Now they have unique G vectoring. It's like their version of torque vectoring with this electric motor, so it's going to drive really well. And I've heard good things about the MX-30. It just has its limitations. It's front wheel drive only, doesn't have a lot of power, and it has very limited range. So those are all things you want to have an electric vehicle, right? Power, a lot of range, but they're able to keep the price down. So that, I guess, is the big trade-off here. Now, with any EV, of course, plug it in at home, assuming you have charging points at home. If you live in an apartment, you probably don't. But you have access to public level 2 and level 3 DC fast chargers. It can go 0 to 80% within approximately 36 minutes with a level 3 50 kilowatt fast charger. 2 hours and 50 minutes with a level 2. So you could have a level 2 installed at home and it'd be fully recharged in less than 3 hours. That's amazing. Or 13 hours and 40 minutes with a level 1, just plugging it into a normal socket. The warranty is 8-year, 100,000 mile, which is kind of surprising because Toyota with their hybrid batteries right now, I believe is 10 years, 150,000 miles. So Mazda's not doing anything here to set the industry on fire. Well, that's not a good term to use with lithium ion batteries, but they're not doing any here to set a new trend in terms of crazy warranties for their electric cars. But 8-year, 100,000 mile for a battery is kind of par for course right now. Now, I had to pull up an image just to make sense of this. So earlier we were talking about a screen that's 7.7 inches, and that's for the climate control. Well, you also have another LCD up here. This is the 8.8-inch screen, and it features the latest Mazda Connect system. It is not a touchscreen. So again, you have to use this rotary dial to be able to use this screen. But this screen down here is going to be, looks like a touchscreen, but you also have additional, let me just zoom in. Not good quality. Again, Mazda hasn't given us a whole lot of images for the MX-30. So yeah, so you have tactile buttons here, but this is also a touchscreen. So it's unfortunate that Mazda hasn't brought their screens forward more for this to be a touchscreen. The rotary dial is not my favorite. I actually prefer like the Lexus remote touchpad, which I mean, I know. Even Acura's, in some sense, I prefer over the rotary dial, but none of them are great. All of them should be touchscreens. That's my opinion. Lots of safety features I'm not going to go over. Drivers and occupants will appreciate heated front seats, leather wrapped steering wheel and shift knob, frameless auto dimming rearview mirror, heated folding power door mirrors with memory function and turn signal lamps. Additionally, the 7-inch digital gauge display, which is behind the steering wheel. You have a power moonroof, so no panel roof. 8-way power driver's seat with power lumbar and memory. No word on the passenger seat though. Rear view camera with rear parking sensors, so I don't believe there's a 360 camera unless you might be able to get it in the other package because there's 2 packages, a base and then like a premium. 18-inch silver aluminum wheels. The grille is gloss black and then also has shutters to help with aerodynamics. Available colors: ceramic, metallic, polymetal gray, or jet black. As single tone exterior paint color options. So here's the upgraded package here, which gives you a blind spot assist, enhancing the blind spot monitoring by providing steering assist to help keep the vehicle in its own lane if the driver attempts to change lanes while another vehicle is detecting the blind spot. Traveling at speeds below 6 miles per hour, front cross traffic alert produces an audible and visual alert in the instrument panel to warn the driver, blah, blah, blah. This package enhances the vehicle with the upgraded Bose 12-speaker audio system, heated steering wheel. There's your 360 view monitor with front parking sensors, Mazda advanced keyless entry. Lastly, the 2022 MX-30 EV is expected to arrive in California dealerships this October. So just a couple months from now. That's pretty quick. I guess you can go ahead and reserve your MX-30 if you're in California with that phone number there. And so here are the prices. Now, this is not including, right? If you look at MSRP here, footnote number 4, MSRP does not include roughly $1,200 for destination handling, which is funny because they say $1,220 in Alaska. This vehicle is not sold in Alaska. So yeah, anyways, let's get back to the prices. So about $34,500 for the base. If you want the 360 camera, the heated steering wheel, I think that's an option here. Yeah, heated steering wheel. You're going to have to go for the Premium Plus package. If you want that delicious Soul Red, it's going to be another $1,000. But even if you load this thing all the way up, it's going to be around $38,000, $39,000 at the very most. But we're going to do the spreadsheet right now because we need to talk about this vehicle and just kind of paint it with some figures here. And this is what we're getting is column B here. This is the full battery electric MX-30 coming to the United States and California this October. a modest 143 horsepower, 200 pound-feet of torque. I didn't write in here for some reason. There we go. And it is very, I'm not going to say underpowered, because compared to most normal cars out there, it's very adequately powered. But when we're talking about EVs, we want to have, it's just so easy to add additional power to, right? Electric motors, you can get more power out of them by not increasing the size or the complexity of the vehicle very much. So it's just kind of a bummer that it is a small motor. Mazda's done this for efficiency, and they have a small battery for efficiency. The problem is that people don't have unlimited garage space, and they don't want to have a bunch of vehicles to fulfill a single niche. And this is a very niche-y vehicle, just 100 miles of range, and it's going to set you back 35 to 40K for 100 miles of range. And it's not going to be very quick compared to other EVs out there as well. And it's only front wheel drive, by the way. So it is unfortunate, but I feel like Mazda still, with this ace up its sleeve, it still has the tax credit. So if you owe the government up to $7,500 in federal taxes, you can take advantage of this tax credit, which is going to make the vehicle at least $7,500 less. So we're talking upper 20,000s. And if you have additional state credits, which could be, I don't know, $2,000, we're talking about $25,000 if you're able to take advantage of those tax credits, which, my gosh, that's not a bad deal at all at that point, right? It's just that it's $25,000 for a vehicle that only has 100 miles of range, and that's the tough pill to swallow for me. What needs to come as soon as possible for this Mazda is the rotary engine, either as a range extender or a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. There's also talks of them putting a very small battery in there and just, well, it's not talks, Mazda's shown it. So let me pull it up real quick. Mazda is going to be making a series hybrid as well with this rotary engine. But the series hybrid down here is probably going to be for the masses here in the United States. The range extender is going to be hitting more so those, zero emission states like California and other big markets. Like I'm in Florida, and there's a good chance that this range extender could come down here. And then a plug-in hybrid as well. To me, the plug-in hybrid, it would be the perfect one, because it's going to have a medium-sized battery, and you're going to have a full-size gasoline tank. So that's going to maximize your range here. And that's what this column C would be. This would be the vehicle I would want in this MX-30. You have a small rotary engine in there producing electricity when needed, but you're going to have about 40 miles of EV range. Battery is going to be much smaller than it is on the full electric or even the range extender. The range extender could be a good option for a lot of people out there with longer commutes. So you'd have nearly 100 miles of the full EV range, because in theory it should be using the same battery capacity, but we just have a little bit more range because you have a smaller gas tank on there as well. So that would be a great option for people who have a little bit longer commutes. But to me, the plug-in hybrid would be the absolute no compromise vehicle. It just would need to have all-wheel drive. I don't even care if it's like what we see in the Prius E all-wheel drive, which is like something small. It's like a 15 horsepower electric motor, but it has something like 40 pound-feet of torque to just give traction to those rear wheels. That's all this vehicle would need. People aren't going to buy this Mazda for performance, so just give it a little bit more usability with a cheap and inexpensive and small electric motor for the all-wheel drive capability. But we'll see what Mazda ends up doing with it. We know this one's coming for California this year, and I'm expecting it to roll out into the United States slowly throughout most states in 2022. But time will tell. My gosh, I want this plug-in hybrid rotary. I think it would be a great option for a lot of people out there. And pricing would be the interesting point, because you're adding a lot more hardware in the vehicle, but you're reducing the battery capacity. So I would say it should start around $35K. If it's much more than that with this sort of power, then it might not do so well. And I'm not really expecting this vehicle to make a splash in the EV market at all here in the United States. It is just underpowered, no all-wheel drive, and it is hamstrung, most importantly, by its range. You might be able to get a good deal on it if you can take advantage of those tax credits, the federal and the state, and get this thing for in the mid $20,000. And I think that would be its best case scenario. But I'm going to end it there. What do you think of the MX-30? I've talked about it off and on the channel throughout the past year or so. And yeah, I have my issues with it. I'd love to drive it because I'd probably end up liking it quite a bit. I like Mazda cars a lot. I like how they drive. I like how they feel. I like their interior materials and designs. And I think the MX-30 is a very unique and cute vehicle. And I think it could definitely appeal to people who want something different. They just don't want to look like every other Tesla buyer out there. I can't wait to see how this vehicle does for Mazda. I cover sales, Mazda sales just about once a month on the channel. So it'll be interesting to see how this vehicle plays into their full sales, which is going to be really, really, really small initially, but it'll be interesting to see how electrification grows, especially with the rotary engine coming in the near future as Mazda keeps patenting and trademarking rotary designs and names and things like that. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video on the MX-30, if you enjoy Mazda news, smash the like button, subscribe if you're not, because I'm going to just keep talking about Mazda on the channel because I like talking about Mazda. They're kind of like the underdog coming out of Japan alongside a Subaru, but Subaru to me just isn't as promising or as interesting or as fun to drive as a Mazda. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Again, peace out.